Yes, our session today. This is a critical time that we want to do our discussion on cash management. Cash management. Cash and management. These are two critical components in the life of every practicing living human being. If you don't know how to manage cash, you have a problem. So cash management is critical. It's the backbone of your survival here on earth. Your day-to-day activity is about cash. How do you carry out cash? So, as we start this session of cash management, we'll be looking at different areas which are critical in cash management. So, our outline, our coverage is all about, we'll be looking at the introduction. So the meaning of cash management, the objective of cash management, the motive of cash management, and then we look at the models. One of the model is EOQ, which is actually the model of Boseman, then the Miller's model. Then there is another one for linear programming model. Then the management basis. Why do we need management? For maximization and the minimization. It's about optimization. Now, the critical thing that I want us to know is that management of cash requires budgeting. So we'll be looking at two areas of budgeting: cash budgeting and capital budgeting. So these are two different areas of management that we want us to have understanding on it. So I want us to have this first area. At least we have the basics, the meaning of what is all about cash management. It is the flow of cash into and out of business over a given period of time. So when you talk about cash management, it is how cash is flowing into the business and how cash is flowing out of the business over a given period of time. In the same manner, you are looking at cash management from individual basis or from corporate basis. So it's about you and the company. How do you manage cash? So the process of collecting and managing cash flow by either individual or companies or both for a given period of time is all about cash management. So cash is money. These are currencies. Management is the act of controlling the lives of others. So management of cash is a backbone of every business undertaking. We must have that in mind, that management is all about the control, the backbone, the lifeblood of business. Without managing cash, business will have issues. Your flow of liquidity will have issues. The essence of managing cash is to create liquidity in your business. More cash, more problem. Less cash, less problem. So you need to strike a balance. So terminologies which are normally used in cash management. Number one is cash, the amount of money in currency or coins. So when you talk about cash, this is actually the amount of cash, the amount of money in currencies and coins. So cash equivalent, the amount used in transaction which is in the bank, money orders, travel checks, cash and certified checks, debit and credit card, and securities. So these are components which create cash. Securities, items that can be easily transferable to cash, such as parking permits, stamps, tokens, and meal tickets. So these are simple and terminologies which are critical in cash management, the act of planning and controlling activities for effective and efficient operation of a business. So we need to have this in place. Cash management, the backbone of every business undertaking. The success of every business is in the cash management. Now, why do we need cash management? The objectives. Number one, maximizing liquidity. Liquidity is critical for business. The flow of cash is critical for business. When the cash is required, it can be received. When the cash is required for payment, the company can get it. So it is good to have this in mind. Liquidity is one of the objectives of cash management. Number two is maximizing profitability. Now, when you talk about cash management, we look at it from the point of inventories and debtors and creditors, cash payment and cash receipt. So when you are balancing this, your aim is actually to make profits. Remember, the aim of every business is breaking profits. The performance of every business is about performance, is about profitability. And profitability is the backbone of every business, is the driving force. Why people get into business? So that they can earn profits. And if you are not maximizing your profits, then you're making losses. Minimizing the cost of funds. Now, when you talk about cost of funds, how to get this business moving? Where are you getting the source of funds? How are you getting the source of funds? When do you need the source of funds? Now, this is how you can minimize the cost of funds. You need to do what you call capitalization. So, capitalization is actually a strategy which is used in determining the amount of capital the company requires for it to be effective and efficient in its operation. So what you need to do is that minimize the cost of funds. How you raise capital is critical for your business. You raise capital in the good manner, you get more profits, and your liquidity will be stable. So the sources of funds is critical for every business, and where you get these funds will not eat on your profitability. So there is what you call gearing ratio, whereby gearing ratio means you're actually balancing your act of internal capital and the external capital. So we need to strike a balance. At what point you're moving from outside capital to inside capital. And using of outside capital more than inside capital can cost you. So we need to have that in mind. Now, motives. Motives. Why do you need cash? What are the motives? People have different motives of having cash. What is your motive of holding cash? Now, there are three motives that are critical for business operation. But first, let me give you the introduction part. The motives for holding cash is simple. The cash inflow and outflow are not well synchronized. Sometimes the cash inflow are more than the cash outflow, while at other times the cash outflow could be more. Hence, the cash is held by the firm to meet certain as well as to meet the certainty as well as uncertainty situation. So the purpose of keeping cash is for certainty purposes and uncertainty purposes. So there are different motives of why business people hold cash. Number one, transaction. For buying and selling of goods and services. The basics of business is to sell goods and services, to buy goods and services. So this is one of the motive of holding cash. Precautionary motive. You need to take precaution for uncertainty, for unknown things that can happen, for the emergency that you can face as a business person. So you need to hold cash so that you can do something. When you need this cash, you can do the needful at that particular moment without borrowing. Speculative motives. Another motive which is very interesting in holding cash is for speculative motives. Speculative means it might be the cost of particular product will increase, so you hold that product. It might be when you have more cash, it will help you when buying other goods at when the prices are cheap. So there are different motives that can make you hold cash. Speculative, you speculate. The market can be speculated. So you hold cash. Future requirement. What are your future requirements? What are you predicting? What are you projecting? So the future requirement again creates another motive. Then compensatory balance. Now you're balancing between payment and receipts. You're paying at the same time you're buying. So these are critical components. These are motives that makes you all cash in a business. So we have transaction motive, we have precaution motive, we have speculative motive, future requirement, and compensatory balance. These are the motives of business. So there are models which are normally used in balancing or optimizing your cash management. We have Baumol's model, which was actually fronted by William J. Baumol. Finding out the optimum amount of cash and time which the marketable securities and short-term investment can be sold. So that's according to a model. Formula, you're actually applying the formula of inventory or investment. There is a formula, and this formula use it in inventory management. Economical, it's called EOQ, economical ordering quantity formula. So this is the model that is applicable here. And then we have Miller's model, which was actually propounded by Mentor H. Miller and Daniel Orr. Determine the optimal cash. Control limits is fixed on the basis of transactions and opportunity cost. Then we'll have the formula at later stage, which is critical. So these are the models which are used in the operation of business. Thank you for that session.